YouTube, this is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. How is everybody this evening? Okay, so I wanted to review some concepts in Vedic astrology. So if you are, what is that sticking out of there? If you are a Vedic astrologer, then you might enjoy what we're going to be talking about. In the description and in the chat here, you can see some links. Thunderwizard.com is my subscription channel. There's 3 levels of subscription. Go check it out. That's the highest, deepest knowledge that I have to share, and it's also what pays the bills. You can go and see all of my books, michaelwilliamdenny.com. And if you want to become a certified Vedic astrologer in the style that I do a very specific kind of reading, and I teach you exactly how to do that. You don't have to be a master of astrology to give anybody an extremely powerful, helpful reading. Just to let you know, the kind of readings that I do are not readings about what you need to do over the next month, what planetary transition. Nothing wrong with that. I love that. But I want to give people readings that everything in the reading that I give them is something they can use for the rest of their lives. So we're going to be talking about some of those things today, and I'll be sharing with you some concepts that awarenesses that I've come to, a more nuanced understanding of which planets you want to use to help you navigate through this life that you're on. So, all right, so we're going to be dealing with multiple concepts today. And let's start with the Ishta Devatta. So Ishta Devatta means the chosen deity. Now, normally in Vedic Hinduism, if somebody talks about their Ishta, they're talking about the deity that they personally like the most. So you can choose an Ishta based on just however you feel. That may not be the same as the Ishta Devata that is shown in your chart. So the Ishta Devata in your chart is the deity that has chosen you, specifically the planet. But each planet has its own deities that vibrate with it. And each specific deity will have a specific vibration of that planet. So it helps to have, when you really narrow it down to the exact frequency, you can get down to an exact deity. And there's a way to do that. But the truth is that in my experience, most people end up finding that deity if they really listen to themselves. The great thing about astrology is not like getting your marching orders from the general. It's not like you're sitting there, you don't know what you're supposed to do until you get your orders. That's not what astrology is about. Astrology is a map. And your orders come from you. They come from your heart. So don't treat astrology as a fix-all. I need something to fix. People ask me all the time, is there a special thing I can do? Is there a special practice I can do? Is there something? Because they think that something outside of them will fix them. So you are the answer to everything that you need to know. The map, however, can be helpful in speeding up finding the exact route. What is the I use map. I'm living in a strange city. Strange state. I've never been in this part of the world ever, even though it's still my country. I've never been here. I don't know anything about it. So just to do anything, I have to get out my phone and click on maps and have, plug it into the car and have the car tell me where to go. And sometimes it'll give me multiple routes. It'll give me the shortest route, the second route, and sometimes the one it says is the best route is not the best route. It's like, the stupid computer doesn't understand, basic things, about how things work. It'll sometimes take you down dead ends. So the map is a tool when I don't know how to I know where I want to go, but I don't know the quickest way to get there. And you should look at astrology that way. Astrology is a tool. And when it really comes down to it, the most important thing is your connection to your soul. And if you have that, which of course you do, if you choose to strengthen that connection, everybody listening to me has that. And the biggest thing that gets in the way of that is fear. When you forget that everything in the universe is working to serve you, to give you the best, most powerful, most fulfilling experience, that even if you're going through challenges, those challenges are serving to give you your enlightenment, however you want to look at it. When you forget that, that's what blocks you. That's what causes confusion. Anyway, so the Ishta Devatta. So if you're a Vedic astrologer, you already know how to find the Ishta Devatta. If you're not a Vedic astrologer, it won't matter what I say, so I'm going to tell you how to find it. And if you're not studying, which, by the way, if you want to go ahead and listen to this and go start studying on your own, please feel free. There's no shortage of information out there to find out how to learn Vedic astrology. So the way you find your Ishta Devata is you first, in your birth chart, you have to locate your Atma Karaka. That is the significator of your soul. And that is the planet that has the highest number of degrees in your chart. That planet, which has the highest number of degrees in your chart, that planet is the indicator of your soul in this life. So, for instance, for me, the Atma Karaka is moon. So that means that, and now you understand why I ask for people to share their honest feelings, because moon is about emotions. And that is, one of the main things that helps me to stay sane and healthy is to be aware of my emotions and to continue to seek to become aware of unconscious emotions. So your Atma Karaka is going to be moon, perhaps, or it's going to be something else. So you take that planet from your birth chart and you go to the D9 chart or the Navamsha chart, and you look for where that planet is in your D9 chart. And then, to find out your Ishta, or the planet that has chosen you, you then go 12 to the 12th house from that planet. So it'll be, instead of going forward one, you go back one. Now, I never really thought about this until just recently as I was doing some research for this video. And listening to somebody else, it dawned on me, because this person said, in the Ishta Devata is really for the old way of doing things, way back when what was most important was not to get involved in this physical life, but to really focus on your spiritual journey. And for the traditional East Indian spiritual mindset, the spiritual journey means you walk away from everything physical. So really old school gurus, like if you find any really old school guru who really has true power, and you go to that person and you say, "Guru, can you bless me so that I will be spiritually empowered?" You really want to think about that before doing so, because that individual is going to, however he does it, he is going to touch you in such a way that everything that takes you from your spirit will start to fall away. So bear in mind, your moksha, your liberation, is the 12th house. The 12th house takes you away from physical life. It brings death, because escape from this physical world is to be unified with the infinite. So your Ishta Devata wants that. Your chosen deity wants to help you leave this world, which means that your Ishta Devata may not be thinking about how to best bring you money, fame, fortune, all the stuff in the physical realm. Your Ishta Devata is like, no, you're a soul, and I want you to connect to your soul. I want to take you away from all of that. So the way that I give readings, I say the Ishta Devata is there to help you on an intellectual level. Your intellect. When your conscious mind, I should say that better, your conscious mind. So from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to bed, you are in your conscious mind. You're not in your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind. You're in your conscious mind. You're walking around, you're driving your car, you're making videos, you're doing whatever. You're in your conscious mind, and what we use the conscious mind for, among other things, is to communicate. We communicate with people our thoughts and our intentions, and so the best way to interact with the Ishta Devata is to communicate with it. And bear in mind, this planet considers you that it's your best friend. That planet is devoted to your spiritual evolution. And so the more that you communicate with your Ishta Devata, the more conscious you will become. And the great thing about the Ishta Devata planet and the deities associated is that you don't have to worship it. Most of the time with a planet or a deity, you have to not just, chant to it, but you have to do a ritual. You have to do this to get its attention, because it's off there doing its thing. It's like, oh, there's that human down there. Oh, look, they're sending me the bat signal. They're worshiping me. Okay. And you have to build up enough energy for that deity to go, okay, all right. Let's see. What does this person want? Another way to look at it is that deities really want to work on a deeper level than the conscious level. The conscious level, the way to look at it is like your conscious mind is the virtual reality goggles. It's not real. It's virtual reality. And the way that, if you take the virtual reality goggles off, you're no longer seeing that false generated world. In order to get immersed in that generated world, you have to put the virtual reality goggles on. Actually, I realized that people actually do this. There's like programs out there to watch stuff. Anyway, I'm turning into one of those old people. What was I saying? Anyway, bottom line is that talking with your Ishta Devata is helping you to leave this world, leave this planet, and connect to your soul. It's like the Ishta Devata wants to help you like a map. It wants to help you get out of this virtual reality as quickly as possible. It's going to give you the shortest, fastest route to your next life, in between life, whatever it is. So that's the Ishta Devata. And again, do you want to worship the Ishta Devata? It depends on what you want. Do you want the comfort and the satisfaction and the fulfillment of being closer to your soul? Then yes, you should worship your Ishta Devata. If you really want to experience this virtual reality, maybe the Ishta Devata isn't where you want to put all of your focus. Of course, I do believe it's like having somebody on the outside, that sort of reminds you, hey, this is an illusion. Remember, this isn't real. This is a virtual reality game you've chosen to play. So it's always good to have that. And your Ishta Devata because it has chosen you, it's always there for you. Unlike other deities that you have to do things you have to set an appointment with them and get them to pay attention to you. Your Ishta Devata is always 100% watching you. It's like watching the virtual reality game going on, and it's watching and waiting for you to say, pause. Hey, can I get a hint here? And your Ishta Devata runs there to tell you and give you whatever resources you need on a conscious level to make your way through this minefield. So that's the Ishta Devata. The Dharma Devata. This is the planet associated with your Dharma, or your Orlog, if you're a follower of the Germanic understanding. Orlog is a great word. It means origin law. It means the law that is within you, that is, you can't get deeper than somebody's true origin. It's the law of your true self. When you follow that law, that is your true self, you can't be any more authentic, which means you can't be any more empowered. So the Dharma Devata wants to help you find your highest path in this life. Ishta Devata wants to show you the quickest path. The Dharma Devata wants to show you the highest path. So Dharma assumes that you are here in this virtual reality game because there's something you have to achieve. There's a goal you have to achieve, or a life path you have to walk. And so when I give readings, and this is important, I want you to listen to me as I say this. When I give readings, I am giving, usually, unless there's something else that tells me there's another deity they need to worship. If there isn't anything telling me, hey, this is the planet that really wants their attention, then I always, by default, I'll go to the Dharma Devata, because your Orlog, your true path in this life. And that has to do with your unconscious mind. So the Ishta Devata is your conscious mind. When you're awake, your intellect thinking, and you can communicate and get direct communication from your Ishta Devata on how to best get through the day. The Dharma Devata changes you on a fundamentally deep, unconscious level. Now, unlike the Ishta Devata, that does not need to be worshipped, it does not need any ceremony or any ritual or a mantra even. Your Dharma Devata must be awakened within you. So your Dharma Devata is asleep in your unconscious. And in your unconscious, by the way, it's really important to understand, unconscious means you're not aware of it. So if you're aware of it, it's not in your unconscious. Your unconscious, however, is the engine that drives your vehicle. It is not only the engine that drives your vehicle, it is the part of you that drives your thoughts, your intentions, your reactions, your actions. You are programmed by it. It is the computer that has been programmed, and you follow your programming. In the unconscious, however, there isn't one program. There are multiple programs going on at the same time. And the question is, which program has dominance? Is it your true self, your true Orlog? Is it the programming that came from your childhood, which may not have anything to do with what is best for you? Is it past life programming? Are you still running on a program from a previous life that distracted you away from your Orlog, your true path? All of this is bundled together in a really sticky mess. And so most people, they're not really one of anything. They're not. I mean, if you truly were 100% connected to your Dharma, your life would not last very long. You would achieve like a bright light, and then you'd be gone. So you have to have something that distracts you and pulls you into this three-dimensional reality to extend your time, right? So that's why it takes so much effort, so much work to really find your true path. I mean, I say it very cavalierly when I say follow your soul desire, but you'll see, I mean, if you ever do that work, if you want to, here, I'll write that down for you too. If you want to figure out how to figure out what your true soul desire is, and if you want to become a life coach and help other people find it, you can go to career.thunderwizard.com. You can get that video teaching, or if you want if you want a session with me, you can scroll to the bottom and get a session with me. So what was I saying? So there's a lot of different things, positive and negative, that are all bundled up in a sticky mess in your unconscious mind. So the Dharma Devatta is the planet and the deity associated with that planet. It is the planet that is going to go into your unconscious mind and act like a computer antivirus program. So that means the vibration of the mantra for that deity, which is another thing that I and my astrology apprentices give when you get a reading from one of us. When you chant that mantra, the vibration of that mantra goes into that big sticky ball of differing programs, and it seeks out the one that is associated with your highest path in this life. Look, the faster you live your Dharma, the faster you can take off and go to the next one. So worshiping the Dharma Devata helps you to become conscious what your true path is. And you will also become conscious of the ways that you sabotage yourself and distract yourself. You'll become aware of that. So the Dharma Devata must be worshipped. Unlike the Ishta Devatta that you can just simply talk to, the Dharma Devata needs mantra and a ritual of some kind. Now there is a way to do it. Again, if you get a reading from me or one of my apprentices, you will get a ritual which will give you the mantra for the planet that together we've chosen as best for you, and the ritual. So there's a direction to face, which has a specific energy, and there's an offering. So when you have those symbolic things, you're facing a specific direction, you're doing some kind of a task, very simply you're giving an offering of some kind to the deity, and you're chanting the mantra, that is called a mantra ritual. And you do that for a specific length of time. The default one is at least 40 days. There's a reason why in the Bible it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. There's a reason why in multiple parts of the world, when somebody dies, they will mourn for 40 days. They do that because there's a science behind it. It takes at least 40 days for your unconscious mind to release an attachment. At least 40 days. So, for me, what I do is when I give somebody a mantra, I'll tell them they can do the 40-day ritual. And then when they're done with that, they might want to consider just keep doing it on a daily basis, like brushing your teeth or taking your vitamins. Because that means you can just continuously keep chipping away and bringing your orlog to your awareness. So that's the Dharma Devata. So again, it's hard to talk somebody out of, saying, well, you should definitely find your Dharma, your true path, and follow that. But I'm going to be honest with you. Even though that is the default mantra ritual that I give to people, I don't worship my Dharma Devata. And that's where experience comes in. I've had an experience with myself and with my practice, and looking at my chart, I've come to a realization about what is best for me. And so you have to look at everything. Does that mean worshiping my Dharma Devatta would hurt me? No. Worshipping my Ishta hurt me? No. It means that it's important to look at everything. So if you're a Vedic astrologer, I'm giving you this information so that you can take a look at your life and look at others. Before I do that, before people start going, oh my God, I have to get a new mantra. Before people start doing that, the most important maxim in all this is that if it works, don't fix it. So if your mantra is working, don't mess it up. Don't, this is one of the biggest problems I see. I did it. Just about everybody that I work with does it, especially when they're new in their practice. And by new, I mean in the first few years. They're constantly trying to second guess themselves. They constantly want to find a better mantra, a better practice. Is there another deity? Is there another mantra? So if in doubt, you should stick with one mantra for at least a year. I mean, unless it's just absolutely disastrous, which is a possibility. Something, again, that, people superficially generalize things. Not every mantra. It's not like going and getting, just like a bowl full of vitamins, and no matter which vitamin you pick, your body needs it. No, there are mantras and deities and planets that, if you work with them, will be disastrous for you. At the very least, you will experience misery and difficulty. So this is where you have to have respect. And if you don't know any better, the rule is the universe gives you a pass. So if you're just full of devotion and you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you just grab a mantra, somebody throws a mantra at you. There's so many gurus out there that just throw mantras out like flower petals. And, and it's just, astrologers go, what the hell are you doing? You can't just throw mantras at people. And it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. There are a few mantras that are safe for anybody to do. The Om Namah Shivaya mantra is one, for example. The Gayatri mantra. Those are, if you do that, you're safe. It's an all-purpose multivitamin. You'll be okay. But some of the like Kali mantras that people do, they start throwing around these mantras. It can be devastating to you if you don't know what the hell you're doing. So the maxim is, if you don't know any better, you've got to pass. Well, it's not going to work if you just listen to me explain that. Now you know better. So in other words, you can't just grab any mantra off the internet and have it work for you, because the universe says, no, you know better now. So better find one. If you're not clear on which mantra to use, I just gave you 3. The Om Namah Shivaya mantra, I didn't give you 3, I gave you 2. The Gayatri mantra, the Triambakam mantra. Those 3 are all-purpose. Anybody can use those, and you're good to go if you just use those. If you really want to get into the precise vibrational science of you, then it's going to be hard to find a mantra without understanding or having an astrologer look it up for you. All right, so your Dharma Devatta wants to help you find your highest path from all of that sticky goo in your unconscious mind. And you can't lose, because there are mantras for you that will help you monetarily. There are some that will help you spiritually. But your Dharma is your path, your orlog. You really can't go wrong with that. So, if you follow your path, you'll get the health, you'll get the money, you'll get the love, you'll get all the things that you need to follow your highest path. Having said that, I can tell you in my chart, the Dharma Devatta, there's another planet that actually is working harder for me in my physical life. So the other thing is to know what your needs are. Some people need to disconnect from this physical world. This physical world distracts them. They get too wrapped up and bound up in it. For other people, they need to be grounded in their physical life, in their physical body. I'm one of those people. When I do mantras and practices that take me into the truly spiritual realm, I start to literally like disconnect from my body. When I haven't done it in years, but when I used to teach the Yoruba shamanic drumming, the West African drumming, that stuff is so powerful that just playing that music for an hour would open up my crown and I could feel it. If you've ever seen me play, there's times where you see me, my head is like, I'm leaving my body. And it takes me at least 24 hours to come back. Like after teaching class, when I used to do it every week, the next day I would just have to lie around and just pull myself back into my body. Same thing with the Mao Shan. When I was training in that every day for hours every day, I was not in this world. And I have to. I had to make the decision that I need to be in this world and be part of this world. So I need a mantra and a deity that will keep me in my body and help me to interface with this world. That may not be what you need. You might need something else. So you have to use your own experience as well as use the science. And Vedic astrology is like any other science. It's like, medicine in that, you go to one doctor, they'll give you one prescription. You go to another doctor, they'll give you another prescription. Do you want to take both of those prescriptions at the same time? Probably not. They'll probably have some, counter action and might make you sicker. But if you do either one or the other, they'll be helpful to you in some way. And astrology is that way. So if you're a Vedic astrologer, your greatest tool is your intuition. The astrology is a map, and you should understand how to read the map. There's a science behind that. But your intuition is really what's helping you. And also trial and error, your experience. You can follow what it says in the book. You can follow the Jaimini tells you blah, blah, blah. You can follow all that to the letter and do what they say. But then again, you have your intuition and your experience. So the more that you do readings, the more that you apply these principles in your life, as you look at your own chart, the more you will gain experience. I have gained enough experience to know there's really one planet and one deity that I stick with. I can definitely worship other ones and I can have major experiences. But in terms of my experience that shows me overall what helps me with my life, there's one deity and one planet that I work with. So next thing we're going to talk about is the Palana Devatta. Palana Devatta, I think, if you go back, the further you go back in time, you need to focus on your Ishta or your Dharma. Again, that would be like, a couple hundred years ago, you go to the guru. The guru's going to say, oh, you've got all this money. You need to give your money away to the poor and just follow your Dharma, your highest truth. Anything wrong with that? Definitely not. But we don't live in those times. We live in a time that is dominated by technology, dominated by physical things. I mean, it's you can't do. I mean, you can. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it's very difficult to live, the way people lived when there was no cell phones, there was no driver's licenses, there was no data banks. I mean, you were what you had on you. That was it. You had a farm and that was what you had. And people, it was very common, for people to just put everything on their back and just, they spent their whole life on the road traveling from one place to the next, sleeping on the side of the road, sleeping in people's barns, That was not unusual. Now it's unusual. You have to have a home, you have to have a car, you have to have a driver's license, you have to, I just went through this. It's nuts. I won't get into it. It's just nuts. Now the computerized infrastructure of the world has taken over, and you're no longer a person. And in fact, I've been like looking people in the face saying, "Hi, I'm here. This is me. This is who I am." And they'll go, "No, I'm looking at what the computer says, and the computer says you're not you. So you're not you." "No, I am me. I'm right here." "Yeah, I know. The computer says no. The computer says you don't live here." "No, I do live here." "No, it doesn't. It says you live over there." So in this day and age, you have to be functioning in this illusion. You have to have some energy that helps you align with the illusion. Or unless it's a really serious conscious choice, you're going to be seriously in trouble. I mean, my entire business, my income is completely dependent on connecting to the internet. If I don't have a internet connection, I have no way of making a living, unless I change, livings. But you know what I mean. All right. So the Palana Devata. The Palana Devata wants to help you in the physical realm. And I've associated that with your subconscious mind, your ability to intend through your third eye, your physical reality. Your money, your car, your clothes, your, all that stuff associated with your physical self. And so what I do when I'm doing readings is I will look to see in somebody's chart. I'll look at all the various things, which I won't get into now, but if you're an astrologer, you at least know some of them. What are some of the various things that show me which planet is strongest, including the Mahadasha? What Mahadasha are they in? Which planet is ruling the Mahadasha? Which planet rules over their ascendant, and how strong is that planet? What planet is, all that kind of stuff. One of the things is if I see all their three planets, the three planets that we've just discussed, the Ishta, Dharma, and Palana Devata, if I look at all three of those, and I see two of them are one planet, then right there, that's the end of the discussion. That means that there's a planet that wants to work with two of their three minds. So I just go, yep, that's it. There's the one. Even if there are other planets that can work for them, for the short amount of time that I have with them, I already have one. Here's one really powerful tool. So I just give them a mantra for that planet and a ritual for that planet. End of discussion. But there's one other thing that you can look at which I have found to be helpful, and that is the Yoga Karaka planet. Now, not everybody has a Yoga Karaka planet. A Yoga Karaka planet is a planet that is lording over. So that means it is the planet that lords over the sign. So it's not necessarily a planet in the house. It's the planet that lords over the sign. So there's the only signs that have Yoga Karakas are the Taurus ascendant, Cancer ascendant, Leo ascendant, Libra ascendant, Capricorn ascendant, and Aquarius ascendant. And so a Yoga Karaka lords over the Kendra houses, which is the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th, which has to do with your physical reality in life. And it also lords over your trine houses, the 1st, the 5th, and the 9th houses. So if there's a planet that lords over two of those, one of the Kendra and one of the trine, if it's going to rule over two houses like that, then it's a Yoga Karaka. So for instance, I'm a Leo. So I have a yoga karaka. So as a Leo, I have Mars lording over my fourth house, which is a Kendra, and the ninth house, which is one of the trine houses. So you have the spiritual luck, and then you have the physical success, basically. So when you have a planet that's lording over the physical success and your spiritual luck, then that's a planet that's got its hands into both aspects, your physical and your spiritual well-being. So it's working hard for you. And my experience is that the Yoga Karaka is really sort of holding your birth chart up. It's holding you up. So when you have a good relationship with that planet and you empower that planet, it's like that, it's like Hercules. He's pushing your birth chart up and holding it up there for you. So you can put that into the equation as well. And as I said to you, I don't worship my Dharma Devatta. I worship my Palana Devatta, which also happens to be my Yoga Karaka, which also happens to be my Arudha. So when you're making a decision about what mantra to practice, if you have a planet that is functioning in these multiple levels at the same time, then you can't go wrong with it. So when I worship Mars, I'm worshiping my Palana Devata, which, as I've already shared with you, it's important for me to stay empowered in my physical body. So it helps me with that a lot. And then it functions as helping me with physical things like money and success, which is the Palana Devata. And it's my Yoga Karaka. So it's literally holding up my birth chart. Your birth chart is your life. So it's holding that up so that my life will be solid. Just strengthens the whole thing up. And then on top of that, it's my Arudha, which, as you know, the Arudha is, if you know what your Arudha is and you empower that, people want to give you success. And all of that intellectual knowledge is nice, but most importantly is through personal experience, I found that when I worship Mars, my life goes better in multiple ways. But the interesting thing is that when I worship Mars, I don't have a huge experience. So when I worship Mars, I don't get like super loopy and the skies don't open and I don't start going off into trance. I don't really get, a whole lot of experience from it. It's just something that I do. But I see in my life, obviously physically, because Mars is a physically my body gets stronger just by worshiping Mars. And that helps me stay grounded in my physical body, which is important for me to be. Without it, I wouldn't be able to run a business. I wouldn't be able to function. I would be constantly off into, I'd have to, live in the forest with a begging bowl because I wouldn't be able to interact with this world. So, bottom line is, Vedic astrologers is use all of this knowledge, and you can experiment with yourself. I don't recommend experimenting with your clients. Honestly try and listen to your intuition and use your knowledge to help guide your client to the best deity and planet and ritual for them. But you can experiment with yourself and look at all these different things. So again, as I said, for me, there are planets that I can worship that will just make me loopy. And if I look at that superficially, I go, "Oh, that's a good planet for me." Well, maybe not. If I was independently wealthy and I didn't have to work for a living, Maybe then I could just focus on worshiping worshiping Jupiter, for example, which would take me into my 8th house. Or I could worship the moon, which would get me deep into, the ethers. And I wouldn't have to worry about it because I was a millionaire. But I'm not. I have to actually work for a living. And my work is to help others. So a planet that helps me stay grounded in my physical body so that I can have a successful physical life is obviously the way to go for me. You have to figure out through your trial and error, through your common sense, through your intuition, and use all of these things then to help others. The more that you learn through experience and practice, bear in mind this is a different time than when all of these astrology scriptures were written down. The Jaimini scriptures were written however long ago they were. It was a totally different time. It's not the same time now. So you have to take it with a grain of salt and then apply it. And then through practice and through practical, what works and what doesn't, then you can really learn how to use this science to not only help yourself and help others. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. The way that this works, again, this is a question and answer. So if you have a question, you can write the word question in all caps, just the word question in all caps, and then just normally type. And I will answer your question. And of course, if you have an honest feeling, I love to hear those, being that I have moon in my ascendant, and moon is my Atma Karaka. I love helping people connect to their true emotions. All right. Let's see what we got here in terms of questions. Vincent.thunderwizard.com says, hello. He is one of my certified Vedic astrologers, and he's quite good at it. And if you want to get a reading from him, he does a bunch of other things too. You can go check out his website, vincent.thunderwizard.com. Go check him out. Zeralath has a question. Will you be interested in breaking down the 4th Matrix movie? Well, I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if it's good or not. I have to tell you, this could be just my projection, but my feeling is that, they should have just left it alone. I don't know, first one or second one, I don't know. But I haven't seen the 4th one, and I'm not enthused about it. I plan on viewing it at some point, but to answer your question, if it inspires me to do so, of course I will. But if it doesn't, I won't. Branches, question. Does the lightning qigong cultivate/tune our collective light? We are semi-aquatic electromagnetic beings. So Branches, welcome to the channel. How long have you been here? I don't know. Here's the thing about questions about a practice. Just do it. You're asking a question as though, forgive me, you think you know what's important about this. You have some connection to it. But until you've done it, you don't know what's important about it for you, and you don't know what it's going to do to you. Bottom line is, you don't know what you don't know. And there are things that will occur when you do the practice that is like trying to explain to a colorblind person what color is. Certain colors they can't see. Trying to tell a blind person what a sunset looks like. They've never seen a sunset. It's just words, just meaningless words. So even if I answer your question and I tell you what it is connected to, you still don't have the experience of it. And what I'm here to tell you is that if you do the lightning qigong, one of the things will happen is you will be more vibrationally attuned to what is best for you in ways you can't even begin to imagine yet, as well as all the benefits. So I'm glad you're asking questions. It means that you're interested in it. The good news is that if you subscribe, and you don't like it, you can unsubscribe anytime you want. So you've got nothing to lose. You think it's important that we're semi-aquatic electromagnetic beings. You think that means something. Maybe it does. But that may not be at all what is important to you. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So I've explained it, what it does, what's important about it. But the bottom line is that it's going to help you unlock a connection to your heart center. And that power will give you not only everything that anybody could want on a physical, emotional, spiritual level, but it will give you literal protection against the corporatocracy that is seeking to control your mind and steal your soul. It will give you a power and a protection against that in my experience, you won't be able to find anywhere else. Jameson-san, first Mitch 543 through down 499. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. Jameson-san, question. Experiencing a lot of resistance getting back into the nighttime practice. Can I do only given mantra for a bit to kickstart? I feel overwhelmed to the point of paralysis, but only at night. So Jameson, as I said before, I don't tell people what they can and can't do. I've made suggestions, but those are just general suggestions. You can do whatever you want. It's your body, your mind, your life. You don't need my permission to do anything. I'm not judging you. There's nobody, quizzing you. There's no judgment here. I'm sorry that you're going through that, but that's just part of the deal. I honestly don't know what the best tactic for you is. For some people, the best thing to do is, regardless of the feeling, just go do it. That's, for some people, that's what they need. For other people, they need to go into the pool, a little bit at a time, starting at the shallow end and stick a toe in and then get up to your ankles. And then before you know it, you're swimming in the deep end. I don't know what the best way for you is, but you have the freedom to do whatever you want. And it's not about what I think or what anybody else thinks. It's about what makes you happy, my friend. So feel free to do whatever works for you. Zerlath, question. Is it correct that the Sanskrit for dharma means the principle of law that binds and holds? I don't know. What else? I mean, I know what it generally means. It has the same basic meaning as orlog. There's karma and dharma. Karma definitely comes from work. The word for work. It also means arm, like the work of your physical arm. So karma is the result of the things you do in this life, positive or negative. But what we strive for is not to worry about karma. Karma just happens. We strive to live for our dharma, our true path, our highest path in this life. Whether that means what you've just said, that it means the principle of law that binds and holds. Okay, I'm okay with that. I honestly haven't researched that word, so. Let's see what else. Mitch 543, honest feeling. Thank you for all your hard work over the years. I've been rifling through your free content and I feel blessed to have found your channel. Thank you. And that makes me feel good. I've worked hard over the years and there's unbelievable amounts of, material. There's just so much material that, I think it's if people are interested in this channel, it's definitely in their best interest to put some time and effort to learn how to search through the channel and, look through the playlists. And, there's just no shortage of stuff here. And, I would be sad if people didn't. That's why I keep telling people to do what you just talked about, which is to go through older stuff. And if you go and watch some older video, there's some videos of me 10 years ago with, hair on my head. And, you start to see the basics of me fleshing out this system, which is great because then you have a good solid foundation for the stuff I'm talking about now, which, I can imagine if I didn't have any experience in a lot of this and I showed up and I was off talking about something as though you knew what I was talking about, you'd be like, what the heck is that guy talking about? Anyway, so thank you, and I'm glad that that's your experience. Zerlath, honest feeling, please put that in all caps so that I don't miss it. You say, Thor is very Aries to me. Well, that's a feeling, so I can't talk you out of that feeling. Thor feels very Aries to you. When I wear my Mjolnir, it tunes my posture and your alertness. So, awesome. Sounds like a lot of fun. Jameson-san, clarification. Given mantra is for Dharma Devatta Saturn. All right, did I even mention that? Let's see. You asked if you can just do your given mantra. And yeah, as I said, it's completely up to you, my friend. I mean, my idea is I do the mantra no matter what. So if I'm doing I'm going to work out for 2 hours doing the lightning qigong or the spirit fighting, afterwards I'm going to use a mantra. And by the way, in case you don't know, I can't stress how powerful that combination is. Especially when you do this stuff and you do your mantra afterwards, I just don't believe there's anything that even comes close to that amount of power. It's the most powerful thing in the universe, I think. But if in doubt, I'm always doing my mantra. If I'm busy and I only got 10 minutes before bed, or if I have to make 10 minutes before bed, I'm going to do my mantra, always. So you asked me, can I just do my mantra? Well, if I was in your position and for whatever reason I was unable to do the nighttime practice of this, which is what you're asking me about, then I would do what you're suggesting. But again, you're the Lord of your own life, and I trust your intuition and your common sense. The fact that it's your Saturn, that your Dharma Devatta is Saturn, that doesn't mean anything to me one way or another. So anyway. Chitasya Mizuho, question. Do you consider Gulka and Mandi when doing a Vedic astrological reading? I'm not familiar with that. So there you go. That should answer your question. Triple R123, question, which level is your fave? What are you talking about? Level of what? And why can't you finish the sentence? Write a whole sentence. I don't know what you're asking me. Triple R123. Joshua McAllister, question. In Vedic sidereal astrology, how could a Saturn-Moon midheaven conjunction... You're using Western astrological terms, which I don't understand. Or, there's a lot of stuff I don't know about astrology in general, even Vedic astrology. So I do know that there are Western sidereal astrologers. And just to let you know, in case you don't know the difference, if whoever's listening, if you don't know the difference between... One of the main differences between Vedic astrology and Western astrology is that Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac, which is the actual calculation of what the stars are doing. The stars are the actual stars shining down on you. The tropical zodiac is a different calculation, and those are not the actual light of the stars hitting you. A Vedic astrologer would say it's an inaccurate calculation that, what the sky would have been 2,000 years ago. So there are Western astrologers that, to their credit, use the sidereal zodiac, but they use Western astrology, which I know nothing about. Zeralath, honest feeling. The new matrix I think you mean the new Matrix movie. The new Matrix, I thought, had a strong esoteric story and clever. Okay, so that's not really an honest feeling. You're giving me some information about something. Anyway, I haven't watched it yet, so I'll have a feeling when I watch it. Kyle Ban, question. I want to play poker for a living, but doing this doesn't help others or align with my Vedic astrology. Could it still be a viable way to make money? Why are you asking me? You just got through telling me that, in your opinion, that can't be your soul desire. I've said in the past, I may have even said last time, things like, causing people harm, like becoming a serial killer or, being a gambler, it can't be a soul desire. Obviously, a serial killer can't be a soul desire because that's not something that benefits anybody. I honestly can't say whether or not gambling for a living is your soul desire or not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you're asking me, is it a viable way to make money? I mean, so what you're saying, I just want you to listen to your question. You're saying being a gambler is not healthy for me or anybody else, but is it okay for me to do it? Come on. I'm not telling you how to live or what to do. You can live however you want. What do you mean, viable? Is it legal? I'm sure there's a legal way to be a gambler and pay your taxes. And is it viable? Why would you want to ask me to co-sign something that you say isn't your soul desire? Why would you want that from me? And what kind of a person would I be if I co-signed something that you just got through telling me wasn't your highest? Forget about your highest path. It doesn't give you fulfillment or satisfaction. So why don't you think that through a little bit? Why don't you decide whether or not that is your soul desire? If it is your soul desire, then that's what you ought to do. Having said that, I'm not saying this like any kind of religious edict or something. I remember hearing or reading a Hindu master said that there are 3 sins that you cannot repay in this lifetime. One is rape. Another one is killing your teacher. And the third one, gambling. So if he's right, gambling is not only not your soul desire, it is a karma that you can't burn off in this life. Now, I don't know why they put gambling next to murder and rape, but they do. I don't think that they're saying gamblers are that morally, on the same moral level. But, the idea behind gambling is that, it is so Rahu. Because it's not, being in the physical world is illusion. And wanting fame, money, fortune, getting wrapped up in having a family, having kids, and, all that stuff, that's being wrapped up in the illusion of this world, which it's not real, but there's still something that in the illusion can provide love and benefit. But gambling it's not even like money doesn't exist. Money is an illusion. It doesn't exist anywhere. You can't find it anymore. At one point in time, dollar bills represented either silver or gold. And so they represented something physically tangible. But even then, silver and gold of themselves has no value except for what we give to it. You can't eat gold. You can't even wipe your ass with it. You can't really make any structures out of it. You know what I mean? You can't build a home. You can't wear it as clothes. So it doesn't have any value other than whatever value we give to it. So even then, gold was an illusion. But now we don't, money has no objective value anymore. It's all arbitrary. People sit in the Federal Reserve and they decide how much money to print and how much. They make all those decisions. It's all empty nothingness. So, but if somebody had a business where you give them money and they give you a product or vice versa, then there's something real about it. There's a product involved. Gambling has, that's like Wall Street. There's nothing involved. There's no actual service that's being transferred from one person to another. The only thing that's happening is that the gambling establishment is stealing your money. Even if you're able to do it and make a living, you're living in like, there's like the illusion of this physical world, and then there's the illusion on top of the illusion. You're living in a double illusion, and it's like eating cotton candy. There's never any satisfaction. There's never comes a point where you go, yeah, I gambled for 5 years and I feel so good now. I totally got it out of my system. No, it's an addiction. It never achieves any true satisfaction, and that's why it's destructive. Having said that, I can't say whether or not, there are people that do it for a living, and, but the majority of people who gamble just lose money. It's just the bottom line. They just lose their hard-earned cash and throw it away. And again, it doesn't bring satisfaction. You work hard on something and you get money for it, there's satisfaction. You've given something of value, and in return, somebody's given you some money. You feel valuable. You feel good. You can then use that money. There's been a real exchange of energy. There's no exchange of energy when it comes to gambling. Nothing. It's a dispersal of your energy. Even if you win a bunch of money, it's never satisfying. And because you've done it. So again, why are you asking me to co-sign something that isn't what you want? All right. Joshua McAllister. Okay, so the way this works is if you look what people are doing, like look above you, you'll see people are writing question in all caps and then just writing normal, or they're writing honest feeling. You're just yelling at me in all caps. So that's not what I want. It's okay. You're new to the channel. You don't know how it works. But and again, honest feeling is not an opinion. An honest feeling is I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm happy. Many people make the mistake of saying, I feel, and then they give an opinion. And that's not a feeling. I feel this government sucks. Well, that's not a feeling, that's an opinion. So it looks like you're going to do that. You say, I feel that their natal position in Capricorn is important. That's not a feeling, that's an opinion. You're welcome to have your opinion. I'm not asking for your opinion. This is my classroom, and I didn't start the class today saying, hey, what is everybody's opinion? You have an opinion. Please feel free to go put it on your blog or your channel and help people with that. I'm only interested in your questions and your honest feelings. So welcome to the channel. I hope this will be a place that works well for you. Spectrum of life. Question. So for those of you listening, it may sound like that I've just out of nowhere criticized somebody for no reason, and that's not what's going on. What's going on is I am continuously trying to teach people to learn how to have a mindset that benefits them spiritually. Being able to ask a question, if it's an honest question, like I want to know something, because whenever you have a question and you want an answer to it, there's a feeling underneath it. And so it's an opportunity to be authentic and real with your feelings, which is a state of self-love, a state of self-acceptance. And that is the state you need to be in order to progress spiritually. So having a question, in order to have the guts to throw a question on here, means that you're feeling your own feeling, you're acknowledging it. Even the question about, is gambling okay? I gave him a hard time for that, but at least he was operating from a feeling. He had a strong feeling. He wants to gamble, and he has some confusion about it. But that state of wanting to know means you're connected to your feelings and you're accepting it. And you're struggling, and that's okay. I have my way of responding to certain things that sounds critical, but it's not. My entire goal is to help everybody, to help you feel your own power within yourself. And that was kind of where I was coming at with Kyle, is like, why are you wanting me to co-sign you doing something that doesn't empower you? I want more for you than that. I care more about, even though I don't know you, I care enough about you to want you to be happy and successful. So when you ask a question, you're connected to your feelings. And when you share a feeling, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy, not an opinion, but a feeling, you are in that state where you're in a state of self-love and self-acceptance and humility, and you are open, and your guides and your soul can help you morph and change. And if you have and hold on to that vibration throughout your whole life, you'll be better equipped to have a better life. That's why I want you guys, that's why I don't want anything else. People have opinions, and I'm just not interested. I don't want to co-sign your ego flailing about. I don't want to do that. You can do that on your own channel. Excuse me, especially if you're doing it to help people. But yeah, I don't want to take the time up on my channel to do that. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Is Kurma the best Saturn deity to worship? Well, I mean, you're talking about a deity here. So I don't know that we want to start lining up deities to say which deity is better than others. But, I've taught you a specific method, and it's a perfectly good method to give people the Vishnu mantra for the planet that aligns with them. And so Kurma is the Vishnu alignment for Saturn. So it is a very good deity. There's no better or worse until you start really ratcheting up, how to give people a mantra based on stuff that I haven't taught yet. There are other Saturn deities, yes. Which one is better or worse? I don't know that I want to talk about it that way. When I give somebody a mantra, it is based on. I do a method where I look at I look at a bunch of different things that it gets very technical, and maybe I've taught you how to do it, Vincent. Maybe I haven't. But the way that the universe works is this. If you don't know anything about mantra, any mantra is a good mantra. The universe says you don't know any better. Your honest desire to connect, you get a pass. So even if the mantra is wrong for you, you don't know any better, the universe treats it as though that's the right mantra for you. You now know better, so you can't go do something isn't right for you. You, Vincent, have learned from me to figure out which planet is the best planet for them. So your mindset shouldn't be, is this the best deity? Because I've only given you the Vishnu option for each planet. So since that's all you and your client know, that is the best. The best is what you know. Are there other Saturn deities? Yes. But, again, you go to a doctor and he gives you a medicine that is a general medicine for your condition and it works. Is there another one that's very precise? Yeah. Does that mean you have to have that one? No. So people's karma, their dharma, will determine what astrologer they go to, who will have the specific thing that they need. If you have a certain body of knowledge that you operate from, which is what I've taught you, if you have a certain body of knowledge to operate from, and somebody comes to you, as people do, you're a very popular astrologer, that means it's their karma to get that mantra from you. If they needed another one, they would have been drawn to another astrologer. So I want to sort of talk you out of this idea, is there better or worse deity? You know what I mean? Let's see what else. The spectrum of life question in regards to and just to be clear, Kurma is a very powerful deity. So why wouldn't you want to? I mean, listen, if anybody can get the blessing of Kurma, the Vishnu deity of Saturn, I mean, come on. It's there's just no need to start getting into nitpicking at that point. It's a perfectly, infinitely powerful deity. Vishnu is the central deity of the heart, having to do with manifestation on this planet. So if Vishnu appears in whatever form and decides to work with you, say yes, please. Don't start going, maybe another deity. Anyway, I appreciate your question, though. The spectrum of life question. In regards to astrology, do you recognize the dark moon Lilith influence? So, spectrum of life, again, questions are, you're asking me a question about something you think I have the answer to that you don't. If you want to find out if I talk about dark moon Lilith influence, you can go on my channel and search for that. And if you find me talking about it, you know that I recognize that. So, that question sounds like I don't like when people fish. I don't want you fishing on me. I want you casting hooks and seeing what comes out. Do you believe in this? What do you think this guy says? Do you like that? Who cares? I'm teaching specific things. The question is whether or not you benefit from and like what I teach. That question you just asked, you don't realize it, but the question you just asked is disrespectful to me. The underlying of that question is, I don't want to put the time and effort to learn what you have to teach and what you have mastered over the years. I have this thing that I'm interested in, and I want you to be part of my thing. You don't realize that, but it is. It's distracting, and it minimizes you. It's not, So again, stick with questions that come from an honest place, meaning I want to know about something. You talk about this. Can you answer my question about this? Not, hey, I like grilled cheese sandwiches. Do you like grilled cheese sandwiches? That's kind of what you're asking me there. Vincent.thunderwizard.com question. What planet does Ganesha correspond with? Ketu. Ganesha, I don't know. We could argue that Ganesha might be the most powerful of all the deities. We could make that argument. Because Ketu has to do with death. Ketu has to do with the destruction of this illusion of material reality. Everybody will meet Ketu. Everybody. Ketu has decided when you're going to leave this planet. Ketu is in control of that. So Ganesha is a very brilliant manifestation of Ketu, because nobody wants to worship Ketu. Nobody wants to look death in the face. That's something that people are afraid of. Nobody wants to see Ketu in their chart. I mean, Ketu gets aligned with different planets. Ketu can cause all kinds of really unpleasant things, pulling you out of this material reality. So nobody wants to seek him out. But what people don't realize is that in order to begin something new, to have a transformation and do something from scratch that you've never done before, to have a new beginning, guess who's responsible for that? Ketu. Because without Ketu destroying, you can't have a new beginning. You have to transform. So Ganesha is brilliant because Ganesha is Ketu, but people don't think of Ganesha as being the horrific destroyer of worlds. They see Ganesha as the power that creates new beginnings. Sorry, I'm drinking this very strong ginger carbonated soft drink, which is why I keep burping. It was a bad choice. But it says strongest, 200% more ginger than the original. So it's giving me pleasant burps. I'm enjoying it. Anyway, so Ganesha is very brilliant because he's a child, which is absolutely right. Human beings begin as children. He's a human child, a portly human child whose head has been destroyed, which has to do with Ketu. Ketu has no head. Ketu has no intellect. And that's because, we won't get into it, there's a story about Shiva coming home and wanting to see his wife, and his wife had created her own son out of her own body, and so Shiva was not part of it. So when Shiva showed up, that child didn't recognize him as his father and said, "You can't come in." He said, "No, that's my house. I got to go in." And the kid says, "Nope, you're not coming in." And this kid had the power of the whole earth behind him. And Vishnu says, "Shiva, you got to take him out. I mean, you're king of the gods. You can't let this little kid tell you what to do." "I know, but it's my wife's kid. She's going to be upset." And Vishnu said, "It doesn't matter. You got to do it." So Shiva opened up his third eye and he vaporized the kid's head. Just vaporized it completely off of his body. And at that moment, his wife screamed because she could feel it was her body. The kid's made out of her body. She could feel that her son had been killed, and she came out screaming, and the whole world, the whole universe was shaking with her anger. And so in order to keep his wife from destroying the universe, he went and found the first head he could find, which happened to be a dying baby elephant, took the head off the baby elephant and screwed it onto to Ganesha's little body and brought it back home. And as you know, now Ganesha is truly the child of Shiva and his wife Parvati. Because Shiva brought the head, Parvati had created the body. But he's a little boy, and little kids love him, and he has the mind of a little kid, and he wants to create life. He has such power that there's another myth about Shiva has his bow drawn, and he's gonna let loose an arrow, but he can't do it until Ganesha gives him the power to do so. Until Ganesha says you can do it, he can't let go of the bow, which means that even Shiva has to get Ganesha to give him the go-ahead. In fact, the word Ganesha, the beginning syllable Ga, comes from the Indo-European word where we get the word go. Go. It's the same word. So Ganesha makes things go. Without him, nothing goes. Nothing starts. So to answer your question about Ganesha, well, you just want to know what planet he was, but This is why everybody should worship Ganesha at some point in their life. And it's a brilliant way to die to old things and destroy old things when your focus is actually on creating a new beginning. Here's the thing about Ketu. Ketu destroys anything that takes you away from your soul. And from his perspective, everything in this material universe is an illusion that doesn't serve you. So wherever he goes, he destroys physical reality. I've seen people who have had Ketu and Venus conjunct. And I'm not saying this happens in all cases if you have Ketu and Venus conjunct, so don't say that. It has to be a very specific alignment. But I know at least one person that was had borderline personality disorder. They were incapable, literally incapable of loving. They wanted to love and they'd fall in love, but then they would end up violently hating whatever they loved. That was because of the influence of Ketu. So Ketu has some kind of karmic connection to that person where that person needs to learn the lesson or chose to learn the lesson in this life that the only love that matters is the love of the spirit, not of other people, but to be in love with your own soul and your own spirit. And so that's the very serious challenge that person has to go through. So the thing to do is, if you want Ketu's blessing, then what you have to do is you have to convince Ketu that this physical thing that I'm doing in physical reality is the best path for my soul's awareness and empowerment. And if you can convince Ketu that a business, a relationship, a path is the best path for your awareness of your soul, then Ketu will go, okay, I'll bless that. And that's what Ganesha symbolizes. Ganesha, when you start a business, you start a relationship, you worship Ganesha. Because Ganesha will then say, here's how you need to do this thing in physical reality, which is a complete, total illusion. Here's how you can do this so that you will be more connected to your soul. Got it? So that's why Ganesha might be the most powerful god and a very brilliant expression of the god of death. Vincent.thunderwizard.com question: do Brahma and Shiva have avatars that correspond with the planets like Vishnu does? No. Brahma, according to the Hindu, is not treated as a god anymore. But if you want to be really smart, like if you want to have a super smart intellect, worship Brahma. There are mantras out there that people spend their whole life on so that they can get tremendous wisdom is not the right word, but tremendously smart. Shiva doesn't have an avatar, so we have to define the word avatar. Avatar is only associated with Vishnu because avatar means descending into physical form. So Vishnu is the god of preserving this illusion. Shiva is associated with the destruction of illusion. Brahma is associated with the creation of this illusion. Shiva is the god of preserving the illusion. So that's why he's so worshipped. That's why people love Krishna. Why people go crazy for Rama. Because people want to have a happy, blissful, physical life. And that's what Vishnu gives. So Vishnu is, in the myths, he's the only one that has become an avatar where he has descended and incarnated in human flesh. Which, again, I don't know if he physically ever did that. I think that's not meant to be taken literally, but that's what he represents. Shiva and Brahma do not represent that, so they don't. Shiva has one I don't know what you would call him. He's not an avatar of Shiva. He's like a reflection, like some refracted of him, which is Hanuman. Hanuman is, but Hanuman is completely, totally focused on Vishnu. Hanuman's only purpose is to worship and empower Vishnu. That's why you see pictures of Hanuman and he's dug his nails into his chest and he tears open his chest, and instead of seeing his heart, you see Rama and Sita. In other words, he's saying, I have no soul. You are my soul. You are my everything. So, Shiva doesn't, when he incarnates, he himself doesn't want worship. He wants to worship Vishnu, which means that even the god of, quote, destruction, which Shiva is really, that's not what he really is, but his whole point is the soul. He wants to empower the soul. And so when somebody worships Hanuman, they are worshiping somebody who's completely devoted to the soul, the power of the soul. What else? The spectrum of life. Question. I have Ketu conjunct Venus in Aries in the first house in my Navamsha. Does that mean I would have difficulties with intimate relationships? So again, as I said, you have to know the exact setup, which nakshatra, etc., etc. But the Navamsha is not the birth chart. So that is influencing, that's underneath your first house. But, you're asking me a question. Does that, do you have difficulty in intimate relationships? Are you asking me a question about something that isn't accurate to your experience? I wouldn't worry about it unless that's a real problem, in which case the other thing to know is that it's not your birth chart, it's your Navamsha. And you would need to know which planet has the highest number of degrees. You would need to know what nakshatra it is. And then, of course, you have to know what it is in the birth chart, all that other stuff. So what I was talking about was the birth chart, and again, only under very specific conditions. And so people can have Ketu and Venus conjunct and be fine. Okay? So Kyle, I think you and I have been interacting, right? So Kyle, number one, here's my problem. I'm just going to be straight with you. My problem with you is that I don't get the sense that you listen. I get the sense that there's a lot of static going on in your head and you can't really hear and listen very well. You don't, the messages that it doesn't look like it's just like you're typing things out. It makes me wonder if English is your first language, those kinds of things. I've told you exactly how I want people to write the word question and all that. You don't even hear that. You're asking me about a question that I have videos on. So how do you find your soul desire? I have videos on the channel that tell you exactly how to do that. So it tells me that you're not is searching my channel. It's, you know what I mean? It's you're so everywhere. You're all over the place. It's very hard for me to be helpful because I don't even know what I say will penetrate. And I told you, when you corresponded with me, I told you what I thought you needed. I still think that. I think you need that more than whatever question you would throw at me. So the answer to your question, how do you find your soul desire? Spend some time on my channel because I've talked about it. I talk about it all the time. I've talked about it in recent videos. I've told you exactly what to do. Okay? So I'd like to empower you to be able to slow down, spend some time, put some time and effort, pay attention, and listen. I don't get the sense you listen. All right? I wish you all the best, but you're a challenge to communicate with. So again, remember what I've already suggested that you do. I think that is your best bet. I think that's more important than anything you can get from me. Okay? All right, what else? Chitasya, okay, that's not a question. Atham Animist, question. Is the Ganesha mantra one of the general blanket mantra that anyone can use? Yes. Om, and you've got it written down the way most people write it, but that's actually not the most accurate way to pronounce it. So let me spell it out for you. So the Om word people think is OM. Even people in India think it's OM. It's not. It's ONG, and that's a long O. Ong. So that's the first word, Ong. And then the second word is the empowerment of the seed sound for Ganesha. So every seed sound has an NG at the end, even though it's written in English with an M. So the way that you get a seed sound for any deity, they may have other seed sounds associated with them, but you can just simply take the first syllable of their name and then put an NG on it. So for Ganesha, that would be Gang, G-A-N-G. It's spelled gum because Americans do stupid things with vowels, and if you write it G-A-N-G, they'll go gang or game. And it's not, it's Gang. It's a short A. Ong, Gang, Gana, Pataye, the power of Ganapati, Nama. The Namaha, the Ha is silent. So the best way to pronounce those Namaha is Namah. You don't say Namaha, it's Namah. So the actual pronunciation of that mantra is Ong Gang Ganapataye Namah. There you go. Yes, that is a general one that anybody can use. Okay, so Kyle has just shared something very specific about his life. So you see, I'm not coming out of nowhere when I gave you my original suggestion. So I am picking up on something. You don't insult me. I don't feel insulted by you. I'm just sharing with you, you're very difficult to communicate with. And you have so many. I mean, you don't focus on one thing. You've got 5 billion things that come out everywhere. And it seems obvious that you have a very hard time focusing on one thing at a time. And I think that's what will benefit you the most. And I don't know how to help you with that. That's what I'm saying. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I hope it doesn't hurt your feelings, but my job is to help you. And if I can't help somebody, I have to tell them I don't know how to help you. Anyway. All right, so wait, there's the mantra for Atham Animist. Well, I'm sorry that you feel insulted. It's not meant as an insult. That's just the reality of it. Again, I'm sorry that you feel that way. It's definitely not my intention to hurt your feelings. But, otherwise, I'm put in a position where I have to just try and please you because you're obviously really a lot of stuff going on. And pleasing you isn't what is necessary. What's necessary is being helpful to you. And I'm doing the best that I can. I'm not the guy to help you in many of those things. I'm glad that the channel is helpful to you and the practices, and they're definitely there for you to use. Any tool that I offer, I hope that you use and it's helpful to you. But I do think that you need to do what I've suggested already. That's the best thing for you. Flux Pavilion, question. Do you use any mantra to help with shamanic recapitulation. Is it my imagination, or do you keep asking the same questions? First off, it's not like I have a bag of mantras. I have on my shelf back there, I have tons of vitamins. So, I have vitamins for all different kinds of things. I don't take all of them every day. But mantras are not a bag of mantras. You have one mantra. If you have one mantra, you should chant that one mantra. And to use mantras that way, like, to help with this and to help with that. I got a mantra to clean my house. I got a mantra to help me remember my shamanic journeys. I mean, that lessens the power of the mantra. It's to me, you don't mean it this way, but to me, it's you're not respecting that power of that tool. So, do you use any mantra to help with shamanic recapitulation? No. And it makes me want to ask all kinds of questions about what are you doing with shamanic journeying? Why are you doing it? I'm struggling here because, the truth is that every spiritual practice comes from need. We have a need, which is an illusion. We feel, we have an intense feeling of fear, and we think spirituality is going to fix things. And so we go after things in order to fix things that are broken within us. I got into the Mao Shan because I wanted to be invincible and I wanted to be immortal. And it turned out to be a really amazing thing. It's the thing that, if I wanted to get really, really, really high, I would go practice the spirit fighting for like 2 or 3 hours if I wanted to get high. So that's my selfish need to get out of whatever boredom or pain or whatever. But I go to the gym for similar reasons. I go to the gym because if I don't feel right. My body doesn't feel right. I do it if I'm bored. I do it if I'm emotionally not in a great place. I go to the gym, and if I just lift as hard as I can, I feel so much better. And I come home feeling really positive. So I do it for, quote, negative reasons, but it has a positive impact. So doing a mantra for any reason or doing shamanic journeying for any reason is a good thing. But what I'm feeling in your need to ask, like you need to have shamanic recapitulation and all that. First, recapitulation, I'm wondering if you're using that like the Castaneda version of recapitulation, which is not what it sounds like you're asking is you want to remember your shamanic journeys. So maybe that's not what you're saying. Maybe I'm catching myself realizing that you're talking about a Castaneda version of recapitulation. Mantra will do that job by itself. So in case somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about, what is the Castaneda version of recapitulation? It's actually a really powerful exercise. If Castaneda invented that exercise, he was definitely getting a download. As you know, Castaneda was a fraud, a complete fraud. He made everything up. He lied about everything. But he was brilliant, and he definitely channeled some of the most brilliant shamanic teachings out there. And he had a practice called recapitulation, which he indicated to be very important. Okay, so yes, it was the Castaneda version. All right, so forgive me. My first reaction to your question was inaccurate. I was wrong. You're asking me, do I use a mantra to help with shamanic recapitulation? I understand the question. My answer to that question is no, I don't. And that's because you're adding a second practice onto a complete practice in and of itself. So recapitulation has to do with breathing and just the breath and the movement of the head. My suspicion is he may have stolen that from Kundalini Yoga, because Kundalini Yoga does that exact same breath meditation. And you know, the way that you inhale and exhale, I mean, he may have stolen it from Yogi Bhajan. But it is a correct way to use that. If you wanted to do that breath while reliving, just to let you know what it means. It's a specific breath meditation where I think you inhale on the left and then exhale with your head turning to the right. Is that right? Something like that. While you're doing that, you're imagining a traumatic experience in your life where you gave your energy up and gave it to somebody else. You were a little kid and got abused, for instance. So you would do that practice where you would imagine yourself back there, and you would inhale, meaning that you'd be pulling your energy that you left in that experience. You'd be pulling your energy back. And then on the exhale, as you turn to the right, you would be giving back the energy that somebody dumped into you. And the idea is that when you're done with that, you're no longer programmed or held back by that experience. It's a very, very powerful meditation tool, and the idea is that the Castaneda style of shamanism says that your practice is about getting your power back from the world and increasing your power, your energy specifically. And that is something that meditation can do. So to answer your question, I wouldn't use a mantra with that, because that's a different practice. It's a self-contained practice. And the recapitulation is a self-contained practice. But I understand your question and why you're asking it. And my opinion is no, I wouldn't mix those two. I might do in fact, a good combination would be to do the recapitulation meditation. And then when you're done with that, follow it up with your mantra meditation. You'll feel huge power if you do that. Because you're dealing with prana, you're dealing with chi, just all of that inhaling, exhaling, and the turning of the head. You're huge amounts of prana coming into your body. So prana will empower the mantra. Joshua McAllister question. Oh, by the way, Joshua McAllister threw $3 at me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He says, does your COVID lockdown pricing still stand for your Thunder Wizard? Yes. I mean, if you've been on the site, you saw how much it cost. It does. I've chosen to keep that up there because it's a huge savings. So if I wanted to respond to it and say, oh, the lockdown is over, that would mean I would be charging full price for everything. So I'm choosing to keep that up there so that people can enjoy it. But if you get the other one's normal price, you're going to pay full price. So that's why the lockdown, in case people don't know what it is, lockdown.thunderwizard.com. I mean, it's a huge savings. It's like $2,000 of savings if you get that package. Joshua McAllister, welcome to the channel. So I've just said that Castaneda was one of the most brilliant teachers who channeled information directly from the universe. He was a fucking fraud. He was a horrible person. He lied about everything. There is no Don Juan Matus. That is a lie. He stole all of the stuff that he did, he got from Hindu teachings, Hindu masters. He did not get any of it from Native Americans. Native Americans look at that and say there's no such thing like that. What he did in his interpretation of taking some Native American words and meanings and applying it to Hindu practices was brilliant. But he was a horrifically destructive narcissist. And there are people dead because of him, whether you know this or not. I'm telling you, as somebody, I spent years, I had all of his books. I had things underlined. I did the practices. That's how I know that they're incredibly powerful. And it was very traumatizing for me to come to the realization that he was a fraud. In fact, I was practicing his stuff when he was still alive. And then when he died and a bunch of things came out, I was shocked. The other thing was when you get to his last books, like his last couple of books, it's a total departure. And I remember going, something's wrong with this. Something about this is wrong. And it didn't feel healthy anymore. So just to let you know, Castaneda said, but Castaneda was a narcissistic, abusive fraud and a liar. So, but that doesn't mean his practices weren't brilliant, whether he made them up or whether he stole them from somebody else. The thing about narcissists is that they're often brilliant. They're often brilliant teachers. And we don't find out that they're narcissists and abusers until after they're dead lots of times. He's one of them. What else? He was a thief, a liar, a narcissist. They're the women that he trained, and she talks about in many of his books. I don't know if you know that, but a handful of them are dead because when he died, they took him so seriously, they were so indoctrinated by him that they walked off into the desert and died. They went to, a couple of them went to Death Valley and just walked until they died because they couldn't function without him, and he told them to do it. And he was abusive, and he was, anyway. If you want, you can go learn about him. He's a horribly destructive person who, even though he was that, he channeled some very, very powerful teachings. What else? All right. Yeah, I mean, he died of liver cancer. He was filled with resentment and rage, which is liver cancer. All right, what else? Nothing else? I don't see any other questions here. Okay, so anyway, wherever he got it, he did not get it from. He did not get it from Don Juan Matus because that person never existed, and I think it's possible he may have stolen it from, because he stole a lot of stuff from a lot of people. He tried his tensegrity, which I tried doing. It was just completely meaningless. But he was trying to copy, because he trained in Tai Chi and Qigong, and he liked it so much he wanted to create his own version. And of course, he had no idea what he was doing. And his practices are nothing. They're just absolute nothing. Tensegrity is one of the biggest wastes of times I ever did. But anyway, live and learn. All right, so that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for everything. I wish you all the best. If I have been hurtful to anybody, if anybody's got their feelings hurt or offended, my serious apologies to everybody. That's my way. And one thing is I'm going to tell you the truth. Sometimes I go off half-cocked and I'm operating without full knowledge, but my intention is to be as helpful as possible. And my commitment to you is I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth even if you don't like it. I'm going to tell you the truth even if it means that you'll stop watching my channel or, whatever the negative thing, I'm not going to let that stop me from telling you the truth. And I am continuing to be committed to give you the most powerful energy practices that I have found on the planet without any reservation, no hiding of anything anymore. That time is gone. I'm going to tell you the hidden stuff that's out there. If I'm able to teach it safely, you will get it from me. So please, again, take a look at all of the links in the description and in the chat. And my suggestion for everybody is to go to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Subscribe there. You'll get access to 2 other levels, thousands of hours of video, and anyway, that's the highest practice I can give to you. And then you can check out my books at michaelwilliamdenny.com or check out courses.thunderwizard.com to see all the stuff that's there, including this stuff here. Okay, that's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Question came up at the very end. Let's see. Ketu is my Dharma Devatta. Matsya mantra really helps. However, I do have unhealthy addiction, which I try to rid. Can I recite the mantra related to Rahu to get rid of unhealthy addiction? You can do whatever you want. My suggestion is to, if you've got an illness, you should go to a doctor. You shouldn't walk into a pharmacy and start picking out medications. I don't think it's a good idea for you to try and figure out what you should do about this or that. If Ketu Ketu can destroy anything. Remember, Rahu is illusion. Ketu destroys illusion. Addiction is illusion. So if you're having trouble with addiction, Ketu is a great place to go for that, as long as you're doing it with that, that understanding. If you're not clear on it, then get a reading from a Vedic astrologer and see what you can do. Okay, that's it for me. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And thanks again. Take care.